Well, it's Friday, so today we're going to talk a little bit about inner healing, and we're going to talk a little bit about something that's really on my heart today. And that is this. I don't know what your New Year's resolution is, but very often at the beginning of the year, people will look at it and they'll go, well, this is the year I'm going to deal with my overeating. This is the year I'm going to deal with the abuse that happened in my life when I was a child, when, my brother, father, uncle, would come into my room in the night. This is the year I'm going to deal with the rage that my father had and the physical abuse that I was under. This is the year I'm going to deal with those things. And that's great. I'm really glad that your desire is to do that. But the thing that we need to decide is we need to discuss what's the difference between, where do we go? What's the first step to it? Do you do Christian counseling? Do you do inner healing? Do you do deliverance? And what the heck is the difference? So that's kind of what I'm going to kind of tear apart for you today, is what's the difference between the three. And I will say this right at the very beginning. I think it's important for all three to happen. I don't think that you can really become all that you can, that all of those things can be resolved unless you do all three. So that's just my personal opinion. And you can say, well, that's because you do all three, and that might be true. But I've also seen that the three of them work together, and they do bring change, and they do bring hope into the lives of people. So let's quickly, I'm going to give you a scenario about the three. So when I was a kid, I was outside with my brothers, and it's a long story, and I'm not going to give you the whole story, but there was a board with an old rusty nail on it, and that nail got stuck in my hand, and it gave me it gave me from here all the way up. It just cut my hand right open. And okay, so Deliverance is going into the house, and of course it was my brothers, so they're like, don't tell mom, like she's not going to notice. But here I was, and so I went into the house, and the first thing that needs to happen is the nail needs to be removed. That's deliverance, right? Let's remove the nail. That's the obvious thing we need to do with that. And so the nail was removed. But that's just one part of it. If I would have not done anything more than that, I probably would have ended up with an infection. I probably would have ended up having complications. So that's the deliverance aspect of it, is to remove the thing that's causing the issue in the first place. So yes, I'm not going to get into whether Christians can have demons or not. What I know is I've prayed with an awful lot of people, and I have seen manifestations, and I have seen people get remarkably different afterward, and it was because of the deliverance. Now let's talk inner healing. So inner healing is looking at that wound that was in my hand that was sliced right open, and seeing that in there we need to do something to make sure that that rusty nail didn't cause any issues. So now it becomes a trip to the hospital, where they will look at your hand and they will wash it, they will cleanse it, they will put whatever they put in it. Iodine is what they did at that time. And so they will do that, and then they will make sure that it's there's, and then give me a tetanus shot for sure. I mean, it was a kid. I don't think I needed the tetanus shot, but because I'd already had it. But that's step 2. That's the inner healing work. It's the washing of the wound. It's looking at the wound and going, we're gonna do, that's a painful part. The inner healing work can be a painful part, because you're looking at the pain, you're looking at the wound, and you're inviting the Lord to come in and to bring healing to it, which means that you're going to look at the fear, you're going to look at the anger, you're going to look at the distrust that you have, you're going to look at the rejection that you felt, you're going to look at all of those things, and you're going to take it to the Lord, and you're going to ask him to begin to bring healing as you release and forgive. That's inner healing work. So what then is the counseling part? Well, I'll liken the counseling part to, this is where they come and they just stitch it up, and they put it back together, and they give you Band-Aids, and they give you, stuff to clean it with every day, or you have to go back to the doctor and you have to get it cleaned a couple of times, and they keep an eye on it, make sure it's not infected until you are restored. And so the reason I feel like all three are so important is because if you just stitched it up without doing anything else, you are going to end up in time with more of an issue than what you came in with. If you just do the inner healing work, and the deliverance, you are going to end up with a gash in your hand, and it's open. So you can do the inner healing work, and it can be made whole, but you will have, like, it'll be clean, but it's still open. You need to have it closed. And then if I talk about the deliverance part, just removing the nail is not enough. So that's how I'm going to kind of liken the three. And, maybe you're wondering, where do I go? Well, I'll say this. I do all three. I do charge. And so if you want to send me a message, we can get together and we can have a conversation about this and see where you're at, and determine where we're going to go from here. So be blessed, be encouraged. Your healing is just around the corner. And I thank God that you came across this video today.